So we're going to start, and I'm going to do a quick presentation to share with you our latest thinking on accountable data governance. So let's move on to the next slide. So what is data governance and why does it matter? So despite a kind of increasing popularity of this term, or that we're hearing it more and more, not just in policy circles, but in common discussions, the term remains pretty unclear, and it definitely still means very different things to different people. At its origins, the term emerged from private sector practices for managing data, but in the last decade, it's evolved a lot to encompass the laws, policies, strategies, and decision-making in the management and use of data by a single organization or by multiple parties. So the term applies to a wide range of activities, from how small organizations use data on a daily basis to how international agreements treat data privacy and sharing. It also refers to how decisions are made and how organizations interact in the context of bilateral or multilateral data sharing, such as through data collaboratives or shared data platforms. Now, informed by our work on the Data Values Project and the Global Partnerships engagement with its network of over 700 partners, we've sort of zeroed in on a data governance definition as focusing on decision-making related to data with outcomes that impact the entire data value chain and the people involved in or affected by data use. So together with other organizations, some of which are present today, we focus our attention on the decision-making part of the definition rather than specific outcomes such as laws or internal policies. Now, there's an increasingly broad agreement that this decision-making process needs to be opened up and that people and communities need to be involved in decisions around data. But what we've come to sort of feel pretty strongly is that these conversations that acknowledge the value of bottom-up participation and engagement, they typically go no further than affirming that opening up these processes is important. But stopping there doesn't help us address some of the key challenges related to data and power. So notably, that's concerning the concentration of power in decision-making around data. And even when the people who have the most to gain or lose from decision-making around data are largely excluded. And secondly, that there's a real lack of practical recommendations and examples for how people trying to make decisions more transparent and accountable can actually do so. And that's why I'm so excited to hear from our panelists today. So we want to move the discussion further. We want to elucidate some of the practical ways that data can be made more accountable and more participatory. So moving on to the next slide, what do we really mean by accountable data governance? What do we mean by making governance more accountable? So we define accountable data governance as decision-making strategies, policies, and practices that are characterized by three things: participation, transparency, and sustainability. So in this context for us, participation means that mechanisms for individuals and communities to take part in decision-making are available and accessible. Transparency means that decision-making processes are visible, understandable, and that decision-making powers and rules are clear and explicit to all stakeholders, especially people and communities impacted by those decisions. And finally, for us, sustainability refers to the notion that ensuring transparency and citizen participation should not be a one-off. It should be a recurrent activity. Engagement and mechanisms for participation should be embedded in data governance practices and be consistently replicated over time. They should be integral parts of data governance approaches instead of occasional tokens. So the ideas contained in this definition came out very, very strongly in the consultation that eventually led to the Data Values White Paper and Manifesto. And it's also informed, like I said, by the work that the Global Partnership does at the country level, regional level, and national level with its diverse network of partners. Just this week, we published a paper delving into this idea of accountable data governance and highlighting where more work needs to be done to make data governance more accountable.